This has been one of the scariest weeks of my life, as many of us feel, and I think for a lot of people that aren't in LA right now find it hard to understand what's actually happening. I'm currently just trying to feel a moment of normalcy, so I figured while I get ready for the day, I would explain to you what's been going on. When everything started happening, I actually was at the doctor's office because I had neurovirus this week. I was really sick. I thought that would be the worst part of this week. I was very wrong. We had heard rumblings of fire and that the Palisades was in trouble, but we didn't really know the severity of course of what it was going to turn into, but the severity of even what was really going on. So after I left the doctor, I went to CVS to pick up my prescription, and then I was going to stop at Whole Foods to get myself some soup or whatever. By the time I got to Whole Foods, there was just a few moms there kind of getting their kids groceries and stuff, but people weren't really panicking yet. And then I walked outside, and just the difference in the air from the time that I walked into Whole Foods and walked out, which was probably 15 minutes, the sky was completely black. Everything smelled like smoke. By the time I got home, about an hour later, I got an Amber Alert to my phone, so the alarm on my phone started going off saying immediate evacuation, you need to leave right now. At this point, my entire social media page, every story, everything was just pictures and videos of people's houses completely burned to a crisp, losing everything. So obviously I was freaking out, my house is next. So I started mentally preparing immediately of what I should grab. I wasn't really sure what to do. I was just kind of terrified, literally shaking, not knowing if I could even get in the car and get somewhere safely because the roads were kind of a mess. I literally just packed the most important things to me. I threw my jewelry, my blankie, and some skincare in a bag and left. At this point, the fire hadn't spread too much, so it was safe where my boyfriend lives, and that's where thinking that was where I would be safe. About 2 hours after I had gotten to his place, we decided to walk and get some dinner. So I walked out of his apartment and we looked to our left, and the entire hill, mountain next to his apartment was on fire. We could visibly see the fire and the helicopters and the smoke everywhere. I just evacuated my apartment, came somewhere that I thought was safe, and now I can visibly see right over the hill another fire had started, which was the Sunset Fire. So I had left my apartment. I was safe now, but still obviously panicking that all of my things were going to be gone, and I thought I was safe. We were evacuated to a safe space, and now that place was in evacuation and that place was in danger too. So in that moment, you're where do I go now? What do I do? The firefighters were working so hard, and I think because they had already learned a lot from the Palisades, they had more information and were better equipped to now go ahead and tackle the Sunset Fires. We were monitoring it on the news, and then they did get the Sunset Fire under control, so we were able to go to sleep for the night. I haven't slept in a week because everything changes every hour. So if you fall asleep and something suddenly changes in the middle of the night, you need to know if you need to get out. Went to bed for the night, literally didn't sleep, woke up the next morning to kind of see if everything was okay, and everything did seem to be contained at that point. Our next best option was to go to his parents' house. They live in Encino. They've been safe pretty much this whole time, and also just kind of preparing and keeping an eye out, but that was our backup option. And as the hours progressed, my apartment was no longer in the direct line of fire, but the air quality at my apartment was 340. I think typically it's supposed to be around 10. I just couldn't go home. And fast forward, when my apartment seemed to be a little bit more safe, it was still in the warning evacuation zone, so it was no longer in danger. Later that night, we decided to drive back to my apartment just in case I did need to grab anything else. But at that point, my apartment was safe. His parents' house was safe. Fill my car up with gas on the way home just to be prepared, and literally as we're filling up my gas tank, we get a call from his mom hysterically crying, panicking that now the Palisades fire is heading towards Encino, getting closer and closer and closer, and they are now packing and evacuating as well. Our third safe option is now not safe anymore either. And then the scariest part was they sent us this picture, so that's their house on the left, and then obviously you can see the fire, so they needed to evacuate too. We just told them come to my apartment at this point, so she packed everything that she possibly could into the car and drove to Santa Monica to my house. We could all just have a slumber party and try to be safe, but of course she's panicking. This is the house that they've lived in for over 30 years. It is everything to them. They raised their children there. They worked their whole life for this. And his dad wanted to stay at the house to see if he could save anything else. He was at the house still. That was right in the line of fire. So we were also freaking out that he was not safe. There's just so much emotional heaviness every second of the day. The way that I've been describing it to my parents who are on the East Coast is it's emotional whiplash. You're in fight or flight all the time. 1 hour you think you're fine, and then you get an update the next hour that you're not. So you're just constantly being whipped around with information that is literally life or death. The emotions continued because then we went to Target to stop and get a few things. I wanted to get an air purifier for my home because the air quality obviously is so bad. And while we're in Target, the aisles are just filled with moms with their kids and families and people with their dogs with them in Target, and clearly filling up their carts with just t-shirts and toothpaste and necessities, and all of these people had lost their homes and they were just in Target trying to rebuild from scratch. That was obviously really emotional, and as we're checking out, we see this young firefighter in front of us in line. He was checking out, getting like extra clothes and electrolytes, and the back of his t-shirt said Oregon. So my boyfriend asks, "Are you from Oregon? Like, why does your uniform say Oregon?" And he was like, "Yes, we just drove over 15 hours in the fire truck to come assist." He was a young guy, like about our age. And we were like, "You're such a hero, oh my God." And he was like, "No, like I'm just doing my job. We're here to help, anything we can do." But these guys like had their Oregon fire truck sitting outside of Target and had just driven all throughout the night to get here to help. Social media is a very scary place right now, especially if you have a lot of friends that do live in LA. But the best thing that we can do, and what I'm hoping to do with a bigger platform, is just continuing to post where people can donate, resources, places that you can drop off. All of that is posted on my Instagram story. And I made a highlight on my page of all of that information, so you can go back to it anytime if you do want to help. Even taking in all 6 of his family just to give them a warm bed. I slept on the couch and let his mom and his sister sleep in my bed because they just needed to sleep. Like, they are exhausted. Just like another round of devastation. It's really heavy. I don't even know how we can go back into normal life this week, like just try to go back to work. But we're all just doing the best we can to help each other. And that's another thing that we've seen that has been so amazing in LA, is how willing people are to help each other, how everyone in Target was saying hello and asking how you're doing. People who have lost everything asking others how they're doing. Like, it is just truly like beautiful to see that. But I'm gonna continue to stay alert. It doesn't look like the fire is being put out anytime soon, so we'll keep you posted, and sending so much love to all of you. If there's anything that you need or anything I can do, please just send me a DM. I love you all.